All right, welcome into another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He's Rob Hummel. And hey, Rob, I'm getting ready for our trip to Bloomington. What do you got
Nice. There? I got my goods.
Look at that. Honestly, you should be sending me you could bring him to Bloomington.
No, they're probably going to stay right here. And the fact that you want some of this is pathetic. But I just want to thank Hershey's and Twizzlers and all my friends there for, hooking me up for the rest of the year.
How big is that Twizzlers?
This thing is so heavy, by the way.
Is that the family size Twizzlers or even bigger?
They got there's 30 packs in there. There's 30 packs of Twizzlers.
I love Twizzlers.
Well, maybe if you're nice to me over the next couple of weeks, I'll bring some Twizzlers to Bloomington for you.
I just want the hookup. I don't care about you bringing them. I want the hookup.
You'll never get the hookup. The hookup is secret. That's top secret stuff.
Unbelievable. All because of my tweet. You get hooked up with a full care package.
Together we drove engagement to Twizzlers that day. So
we did.
Unfortunately, only one of us was rewarded though.
Yes, very true. But listen, we're going to have fun in Bloomington. A week from tomorrow, we're going out in Bloomington, and we're going to see. We're going to see how many Indiana fans recognize you.
That will not happen. I will maybe go to dinner, but otherwise I will be in the hotel room.
Why? Why are you so worried about stuff? Are you afraid of the fans?
I'm not afraid. I have to work the next day. Not all of us get to just do whatever and then go to the game, and you could be feeling any type of state and then write some trash article. Because that's what you're going to do. I have to actually speak.
It is an early game. You need your sleep.
Yeah, it's at noon. I gotta rest up. So
if it were a night game, would you have gone to Knicks with me and Doster?
No.
You would not go to Knicks?
Probably not.
Is it because it's Indiana and Bloomington?
No,
Would you go out if it was West Lafayette? Would you take us out?
I might step out for a drink or two, yes. But there's nothing good that can come of that. There's nothing positive that can come from, and I will say, Indiana fans have been good to me. When I've announced the games, they're very nice at Assembly Hall, but a bar, it's not the play.
You think you're asking for trouble?
It's not the play right there. Correct.
All right. You're a smarter man than me. I don't.
Well, they don't care about you. You flip sides to where now you pay tuition to Indiana, and now you're on that side of things. But you went to Arizona.
I'm right down the middle, Rob. I'm right down the middle, other than my tuition payments.
That sways you heavily.
Those are the only things that aren't right down the middle. But you'll get a good meal. Heavily. Dinner's on me next Friday night.
Wow, Field 68's buying?
Well, Doster probably won't reach into his pocket, but I will. Since
maybe I'll bring you some Twizzlers then. We'll call it an even trade. Dinner for Twizzlers.
Exactly. All right, let's get to it. Let's start with two BlueBloods that continue to struggle, Rob, and now have put themselves in the equation where we're wondering whether or not they even get in the NCAA tournament.
Crazy.
And I don't know who you want to start with. You could pick Carolina, Kentucky.
No, let's start with Kentucky.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Kentucky, who it looked like it kind of, I don't know if found itself was the right word, but they've been better over the last couple of weeks. They jump started by the Tennessee win in Knoxville. That was a huge one. And you thought maybe Calipari had started to figure it out, playing the two shooters, right? Playing CJ Frederick and Antonio Reeves together. He's got a lottery pick and then they lose at home to an Arkansas team that doesn't even have Nick Smith or Trevor Brazile, their two best, most talented players. So how worried are you about Kentucky making the tournament, number one? And number two, is it time? I know we talked about this before for Calipari and Kentucky to just say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's just best if we part ways. This thing has run its course.
Well, I still don't know about that. I think you're still looking at somebody who has proven himself at this level. Now, have they had problems? Yes, they have. And I think it's crazy that we talked so much about shooting, but now you look in conference play, they've got the third most efficient offense in the SEC.
Right.
And they're second in three-point field goal percentage. Now, they don't take a lot of them, but they are making threes when they shoot them. Defense has been the problem all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And the pick and roll in particular.
With Oscar. Yeah.
I mean, this guy was up for, wasn't he considered for National Defensive Player of the Year last year?
Who?
Oscar. Wasn't he in that conversation?
Because he
I know he blocked shots, but still,
it's so wrong. But it's so wrong
I agree.
when people do that because they're looking at one stat and it's rebounds per game. Well, great. He gets rebounds. But if you're literally not trying to ever block a shot, yeah, you're going to have a better chance of getting the rebound.
That's true. No, I understand that. But it's shocking to me that now you see stuff from their beat writers and you see stuff about Kentucky and it's all about how, well, we can't guard the ball screen and it's all getting put on Oscar Tshiebwe.
Right.
They don't have great wins.
Yeah.
They have thrown him under the bus. This is the National Player of the Year from last year.
Yeah.
And I know
his ass off. You know,
no. He didn't play well against Arkansas. What did he have? 7 points and 7 rebounds. I mean, that's a shocking effort from him because normally he's an automatic double-double. But yeah, I mean, it seems like Cal has pushed different buttons and inserted different people into the lineup, and it's just kind of been like plugging holes. For a while it was, well, we have no shooting, and then for a while it was something else, and now it's about Oscar Tshiebwe. How many quad one wins do they have? One?
I think it's one. I think they've got one, and Carolina's both.
Tennessee would be their quad one win?
Correct. That's it.
I mean, yeah, you look at Lunardi's stuff. He's got them in the last 4 in or the next 4. I mean, they're hovering close, and it's just shocking that it seems like every time they address one of their issues, something else springs up. I mean, they have problems, but I still do not think that it's. As long as he wants to be there, I just think that they could still fix a lot of these issues. Now, they're going to have to make some changes. We talked about the offensive coordinator type idea, but now they're shooting it well. They're shooting a good percentage in SEC play. It's a really weird situation. That's crazy.
Yeah, and again, we talked about how Sahvir Wheeler was kind of an issue, right, with them. And
when he went to the bench and
he didn't play last game.
No, I know, but I'm talking about they talked to him about coming off the bench, and that seemed to work for a couple games, and he was hurt against Arkansas.
Yeah, they're 1-7 in quad ones. They're 6-0 in quad twos, but they're 1-7 in quad ones. To me, here's the thing with Kentucky now is you look at their schedule and you say, all right, they got some easy ones coming up, Georgia and Mississippi State on the road. Are they easy? I mean, they can't lose either of those. They've got a problem.
I mean, Georgia away, both those games could be close. I mean, neither team is awful.
They have to beat Tennessee at home, to me.
Florida away that doesn't feel
right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like
with the way Colin Castleton
carved 7 games left.
With the way Castleton carved them up last Saturday, that is a concern. Auburn at home will be a tough game. Arkansas away. I mean, it's not easy.
No, I think they have to go 5-2 in these last 7, including winning against Tennessee, to have a shot. You can lose one of these 2 road games at Georgia and Mississippi State, and it won't crush you. Probably Mississippi State is the one you can afford to because their numbers are good. You can lose at Florida, it won't, or at Arkansas, won't crush you. But you better beat Tennessee at home to have any shot. Yeah, I'm just still confused why they're this bad. I mean, again, when you look around the country, Rob, and you look at some of the teams that are on the bubble, some of the teams that are in, look at Arkansas, for instance. They've lost Nick Smith, and we'll talk about them, Nick, in a little bit here. But they've lost, again, their 2 most talented players, and they're not even on the bubble right now. They're in. After losing their 2 most talented players, they are clearly in the tournament if it ended today. Kentucky's been relatively healthy for most of the year, and they're not in. Like, what does this say about Calipari and his coaching?
Yeah, no, it's not good. I think it says that the sum of these parts is not greater than what they are individually. And Arkansas would be the opposite. No Nick Smith, no Trayvon Brazile, and they have found a way. This is certainly, you can throw it on the coaching. It doesn't make sense. It really does not make sense why you can have this many talented players and not win games.
What I'll say is the one semi-comparison I have between Kentucky and Carolina, and they've got different issues, is a big that is not a shot blocking. Again, I'm not going to call Bacot a liability defensively because I don't think he's a liability. But what he isn't is a guy that could go out there and switch ball screens, and he's not a shot blocker. Like, that's the difference that I think both of them are having a little bit of trouble. But I think Carolina's trouble. Also, I was there for the Duke game, Rob, and after the game, I literally told Hubert as I was walking off, I'm like, your team, even in the press conference, I said, your team was so much fun to watch in March last year, right? They were fun to watch. They looked like they were having fun. They were playing with emotion, raw emotion, happy, chest bumping, looked like they were happy for one another. I see none of that now. Zero.
How did he take you saying that?
He didn't. He pushed back on it a little bit. He said, well, some of it's about winning and losing, but I understand. Hubert's the nicest human being in the world. And again, listen, the one thing, and he'll say this to me, the one thing he admitted that I was right a year ago when I called them soft, and he played the clip before games to show his team how to motivate him, I guess, and say, hey, look at this asshole.
I bet all those players hate you.
Bacot doesn't. Caleb Love hates me.
Dang.
Bacot
came on the podcast, yeah.
I think a lot of them realized I was right. And you wonder if Hubert is just Mr. Positivity. But I think deep down he's got to understand there are some issues with this team because they should not be regressing, which is what they've done for the most part, or at least kind of been running in quicksand. And I'll give them, like, again, in the ACC, you shouldn't be. What are they, 7-6 right now in the ACC?
They are 7-6 in a league that just fell behind the Mountain West in terms of overall conference rating on KenPom. They're 7th now.
I mean, that's an embarrassment. But Rob, is it now fair to say that last year's March run was fluky? Wasn't the real Carolina.
They caught fire.
Right.
Caleb Love got on this crazy heater, and they just, Manic was shooting the ball at a crazy high clip. I don't know. They haven't executed well end of games. All the way back to PKI. I saw them against Iowa State. They had like 5 turnovers in the last 4 minutes, and they lost.
Yep.
Alabama, they led in some of those overtimes, and they lost.
Terrible offense.
The Pittsburgh game, they were up with a minute to go, and they lost. The Duke game, tie game, 4 to play, and they lost. This last Wake game, it's a 7-point game, but it wasn't that close.
It was an embarrassment.
Down 26. I am concerned because whenever you read the quotes by the Carolina players, it's like, well, we just need to compete. Man, it's February. What do you mean you need to compete? We are in the middle of conference play, almost on the back, getting to the backside of conference play.
Yeah.
It is not the time to say, well, if we compete, we'll be good.
How are you not competing by now? Like,
that discussion is had in October.
Like, this was a huge game at Wake. A huge game at Wake.
And they sleptwalked through the first 30 minutes.
Right.
They really did. You hear the togetherness and the cohesiveness, and it just seems like that is not there. It really doesn't. And it's just
they're the ones I worry about. I worry more about them than I do Kentucky, to be honest. I think Kentucky's got enough talent. I think they end up getting in.
Well, the Carolina bench is almost non-existent.
Right.
I mean,
and Hubert said he wanted to play the bench this year. That was his big thing last year.
But he really didn't in the non-conference. So if you don't play them then, how can you put them in at Wake Forest and say, all right, guys, like, go contribute when you didn't have them gain confidence and experience?
Yeah, I mean, listen, in the game against Duke, Puff Johnson was the only player who played more than 5 minutes off the bench.
Yeah.
That's it.
And he's been banged up, so he's not been consistently getting time.
I just feel like, again, you've lived and died too much with Caleb Love. You've given him too much.
But they lived at the highest level last year.
With that.
He took you to the national title. He beat Duke at Duke. He beats Duke in the Final Four. He had this incredible run. It's really interesting to look at when you think about how Caleb Love will be remembered. And I think it'll be more positive than negative, especially if they don't make the NCAA tournament. You would have 2 very different seasons, but he had an all-time run for Carolina. You go to the national championship game and the way he played and the shots he made, the shot he made in the Final Four, those are massive moments.
Massive.
Even in a place like North Carolina, where they've had crazy massive moments. You know, he is a fascinating player in college basketball, and you're probably right, but that they rode that last year, and it took them all the way to the national title game.
All right, so I've been out there anti two high majors playing each other in Dayton at the first four. Okay, I want to see the highs play the mids, right? Because I think that would be more fun. Those 4 games, to me, if they changed it going forward, it'd be great to see a high play Charleston, and I
don't know. I think this would be pretty entertaining.
Agreed. This is the one that I would say, you know what? Throw that out the window. Put Kentucky, Carolina in Dayton. I haven't been to Dayton in years for that. I might actually go to that game. I mean, that would be one hell of a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be sweet. What is I guess, that can happen. Why could it not? Of
course
they'd have to be both 11 seeds, is that right?
11, 12, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, they could do it. They could do it, and ratings, man, they'd be ridiculous.
No, for sure. But in order for that to happen, they would have to be the last 4 teams in that last 4 in area. Yes.
Gotcha. Which they both are right now.
Are they?
Oh yeah, they're both right there. Sure.
Hold on. Let's look at what Lunardi's, if he sent an email today. If he hasn't, that's shocking, because he sends an email every day.
He's at it. Lunardi doesn't sleep. Come on.
Agreed.
Kentucky, I got on the bracket matrix, which is a bunch of people. You probably don't know about the bracket matrix.
It combines them all together.
Good job. Look at you.
It's like the recruiting rankings where it takes an aggregate score.
Yeah, when we did that, you were out of the top 100, I think.
No chance. Look it up right now. Look it up right now.
Yeah.
Kentucky. This is as of yesterday.
Go ahead.
What time was this at? At 9 yesterday morning.
Yeah.
So does that take into account these losses? Yeah, it would. Kentucky is the second to last team in, and North Carolina is the third to last team in.
So they're right there.
A&M's the last team in as of yesterday.
They're right there is all I'm saying. Like, this could happen. Like, if the season ended today, they could both be in Dayton.
Who's the first team out?
Who?
Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, Penny's done that's another one we should talk about at some point. But, like,
how huge is that Houston game coming up in a week for them?
Huge.
Massive game.
Well, look at what it did for them last year. Remember what it did for Memphis last year, the Houston game.
Right.
Got them in.
Yep.
Got them in. And we didn't think the Houston team was that good last year because they were decimated.
They were just so injured. Yeah.
But they ended up making that run. I don't know if they can beat Houston this year fully healthy. I don't know if they can beat them.
I mean, Kendrick Davis is going to have to ball, and he is going to get trapped into Kingdom Come.
Everything. Yes.
He's going to, every time he comes off a ball screen, they are going to trap him and just flood that weak side.
I was asked this last night. Take your Purdue pom-poms, put them away for a second.
For the number 1 team in the country. Okay.
Yes, put them away. And if I said to you, you got to bet your entire your house, right? Your plush estate in Chicago on one team, Houston, Alabama, or Purdue, to go the deepest in March or to win it all. One of those 3. Who are you taking?
I don't feel good about any of those teams.
You got to pick somebody.
I'm just telling you, I don't feel good about any of them.
You have to pick somebody.
Houston, Alabama, or Purdue.
Yes. Well, those are the top 3, aren't they? I mean, are you picking somebody else?
No. I don't feel good about any team. Like, it's not a year.
But those are your top 3, are they not?
Carolina. Yeah, they are.
Okay. I mean, you want to put in a write-in candidate, be my guest. You want to throw UCLA or somebody like that?
Or maybe I'll put in your favorite Tennessee Volunteers, the way that the fans were all responding to you on Twitter.
Yes. I was right.
I hate doing these types of things. I don't feel good about any of them. I really don't.
We're not ending this podcast till you pick.
I'm going to filibuster. We'll be on here for for 20 hours. See if I can break you.
Break into the Twizzlers and go through
I'll just start crushing Twizzlers. I'll start reading off the phone book. I'll
go first. Right. How's that? I'll take you off the hook here for the first one. I'm going Houston. Kind
of who I was thinking too.
Older guards, Rob. Older guards. Marcus Sasser, Shed has been there before. They went deep last year with Jamal Shed. He hasn't had the year we thought he would. Tremont Mark, big guard. You've got a lottery pick in Jarris Walker, and you've got a hell of a coach. Again, Purdue's got a hell of a coach too. So does Alabama. I think Nate Oates is terrific. But Kelvin's just done it for so long. And I think he's got all the pieces, and he's got bigs that know their role.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Remember, Rob, when you set the New Year's Day goals that you said you'd stick to? HelloFresh is here to help you eat better by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your doorstep. So basically, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. You don't have to go anywhere. It's there for you so you can just save time. I know how busy you are in your life, so we got to make sure we save time for you and make your life easier during the college basketball season. Get HelloFresh, skip that extra trip to the grocery store and the long checkout lines. Spend more time doing the things you love with your delicious chef-crafted recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Again, I'm not great at cooking, but this makes it easy. I've had them a couple times here lately when I've been home, and my wife doesn't kill me for my cooking. She actually loves it. So make sure, again, you go to HelloFresh.com/Field68 and use the code 65Field68. So go to HelloFresh.com/65Field68 and use the code 65Field68 for 65% off plus free shipping. Again, HelloFresh.com/65Field68. Use that code 65Field68 for 65% off plus free shipping. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Purdue. They've got the most dominant player in the country, and I just think that they're.
You don't worry about them. You really don't worry about them.
No, I worry about all three of these teams. That's why this exercise is stupid. I don't feel good about picking any of them. I look at the Bama loss to Oklahoma, and it's like, well, how does that happen? Oklahoma hasn't had a good year. How did they lose a game? And look, it's a long season. You have off nights with the way that they shoot and the pace that they play at. You're going to have nights where you're throwing balls off the wall and you're missing threes, right? Like that. Brandon Miller is as high end of a talent as we have in college basketball.
Hey, what I'll say too,
I worry about Purdue's freshman guards in the NCAA tournament. I worry about their guards, and that's not because they haven't had a great year. It's because you haven't been through it. You haven't dealt with it. I worry about physical, athletic teams against Purdue's backcourt because you saw what Rutgers was able to do to them. Yep. For Houston, I sometimes worry about their offense. I think that they have a team that at times if they're not getting on the offensive glass, which they've kind of gone up and down on at times this year, their offense can be a little rough. But I think Kelvin's an incredible coach, and I think that they understand their roles as well as any team in the country. They guard you. I don't feel good about any of them. So that's what I picked Purdue because of Edey. But yeah, of course I have concerns.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I just think I have the fewest amount of questions when it comes to the Houston Cougars. That's what I would say.
Sure.
All right. Let's move on to a little Big Ten. Let's move on to Big Ten now because it's funny. We've anointed Purdue is the team to beat, and they're going to win the Big Ten, I would think. Their schedule, as you said,
barring a collapse.
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine. Is to me what Trayce Jackson-Davis has done is incredible lately. Like, I don't know if any of us saw this coming, Rob. We knew he was going to be a good player. He he now knows he's the best player on the floor almost every time he steps on. And he's doing everything now, right? He rebounds, he takes the ball up, he can face you up, which we knew.
He can really pass. That's been the biggest development where I think, he's doing a nice job when they get him in space of driving bigs and whatnot, but the passing is what has really impressed me. And he's made a big jump in that regard.
Number one, is Indiana, if they get X back, and I think he could come back for the Purdue game. We'll see. I think he can, which gives him like 3 games in the regular season, then maybe a game or, who knows how many games in the Big Ten tournament, couple, hopefully. So he gets 4 or 5 games under his belt before the NCAA tournament. How far can this Indiana team go?
No, I think that they can be a second weekend team if they get Xavier Johnson back and he gets back into the fold. And I think if you're there, then you certainly have the ability to win a couple games and end up as a dark horse to get to the Final Four. I think with Trayce Jackson-Davis, he's that talented. Their defense kind of slipped some. I think with him, you get him back, and that can help you, especially with quick guards. They like against Jameer Young, they really struggled to keep him out of the paint. But no, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to get to the second week in the NCAA tournament if they get healthy and they're playing the way that they've played. I think that you look at their last 2 wins, even though Rutgers, Mawot Mag's a big loss for them, still that they've been the second best team in the Big Ten, I think, for most of this season. So to beat Purdue and Rutgers back-to-back home games. Now, the question for them is, can they travel with this? Can they keep this going? And they've got a game at Michigan Saturday and Northwestern Wednesday. It is a massive prove-it week for them on the road. I know they're good at Assembly Hall. Can they take this on? And if they can't take it on the road, then I will be a believer that they really can make a run like that in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I mean, listen, they got that huge one a couple weeks ago in Champaign, right? That was a huge road win for that team. But you're right. Like, they have such a big home court advantage that sometimes, again.
Well, but think about Penn State away. Doors blown off. Maryland away. Score 55 points. Kansas away. Doors blown. And the Illinois win was a good one for sure. Minnesota didn't play well, won by 4. Right. Minnesota is the walking wounded currently. So I think I think big week for them. Big week for them, proving it against 2 quality opponents. Michigan's playing well, even though they had maybe one of the weirdest games I've ever seen last night against who did they play? I was there. Who did they?
Don't you hate that?
I literally just flew home against Nebraska.
Why was it one of the weirdest games? I didn't see it.
The turnovers were bizarre on both sides, and the runs. Really? I think Michigan went on a 30-6 run, and then that was countered by a 24-2 run by Nebraska. I mean, Michigan got up by 24 points, and then they turned it over 4 times in a row right before the half, and Nebraska cut it to 10. And then Michigan pushed it back out, and Nebraska went on a massive run again. It was so weird. I mean, it's just the weirdest game.
Can Michigan somehow find its way, because it did last year? They weren't great in the regular season last year and ended up going to the Sweet 16. Could they get into the tournament? What do they have to do to get in the tournament?
Yeah. They're like Carolina and Kentucky. They have 2 quad 1 wins. They're 2-8 in quad 1 games. So Indiana game Saturday, massive. Wisconsin away, huge opportunity. That would be a quad 1 game. Michigan State at home, quad 1 game. Rutgers away, quad 1 game. Wisconsin at home, probably not, I would think, because of their net. But it could be. Illinois away, definite quad 1. Indiana away, definite. So they've got, out of their, how many games do they have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of their 7 games remaining, they will have 6 quad 1 opportunities. Now, you got to win some of them. I don't think that they're certainly not in right now. I don't even know if they're in the discussion right now in terms of you have the first 4 out, the next 4 out. They're not in those 8 teams. But I think with their schedule, there is a glimmer of hope. But you got to win Saturday if you want to get into that conversation.
Yeah, I would say you're right. I mean, I think if they get in, I don't know. I mean, you got obviously an elite level big. Jett Howard gets hot. This team's been a little disappointing.
Kobe Buffkin's playing really well.
And so he's
really defending. Yeah, and Doug McDaniel. Think about this. He was recruited to be probably the third string point guard. You're assuming Frankie Collins is not leaving, and you think you have Jalen Llewellyn. Llewellyn blew his knee out. Frankie Collins transferred to Arizona State. And interestingly enough, he had the same situation happen at his high school. He went to a high school in Virginia. I think is it Paul VI Catholic school?
Yep.
And they had their backcourt his freshman year was Jeremy Roach, Anthony Harris, and Trevor Keels. And Roach and Harris blow their knee out, and he gets thrown in and played well. And he's done the same exact thing this year. He has some things he needs to get better at, but I think 4 games coming into last night, 18 assists, 3 turnovers. He shot it at 35% from 3 in Big Ten play. Needs to be better finishing around the rim, but he's small, so that's tough. He's got a chance to be a good player.
Are you surprised, Rob, when you look at Michigan 14-10, 8-5? I know they lost Llewellyn, but it wasn't like they knew
he wasn't playing very well.
Correct.
He
wasn't like
anyway.
Yeah, he wasn't this guy that was like the answer. We didn't know what he was going to bring from the Ivy League.
I'm really not surprised. Buffkin's a young sophomore. He's finally started to come on. Hunter has been Hunter, but Hunter hasn't played. He's played at an all Big Ten level. He has not, for most of the season, been in an All-American level. I wouldn't say he played like an All-American last night. 2 games prior to that, Northwestern and Ohio State, he did. He played like All-American Hunter Dickinson. Jet Howard's been really good, but he's young. Defensively, he struggles. Terrace Reed's given them some decent minutes, but still, you're playing behind Hunter, and he's limited offensively. Terrence Williams has kind of just been okay at the 4. He played well last night, but hasn't been great all year.
He's not an offensive guy.
I don't think that they're, when you look at their roster, the talent level compared to some of the better teams in the Big Ten, you look at versus a Purdue, versus Illinois, versus Indiana, I don't think their roster stacks up from a talent standpoint from an overall perspective.
Which is crazy, Rob, because again, I mean, you look at the recruiting rankings don't mean shit, but they got a lot of dudes on their team that are highly ranked. Yeah. Terrace Reed is one, but he can't play when you got Hunter.
And they've played them together some, and it's actually at times been okay.
I wonder where this program goes moving forward. That's my biggest thing is. Juwan took over a really good situation, right? Not a lot of guys take over what he did with John Beilein leaving. A great culture. He left them good enough players so they could be good. And obviously, Juwan's recruited at a crazy high level, right? And he's aided by the fact that you bring in your son, who's probably a first-round pick. Could be It'll
be interesting to see if he leaves this year, just because his circumstances are so different than most first-round. Your dad's the coach. Right. Your dad's made a lot of money in the NBA.
Yep.
He's certainly a first-round type player. Jet Howard can hoop.
If he leaves, does Dad try to leave for the NBA at some point? Because I think the primary reason why Juwan has stuck around, even after getting some level of interest from the NBA, is because he wanted to coach his kids.
I don't know. I feel like he really likes coaching at Michigan because it's his alma mater. I do believe that he feels strongly about that. Not that the NBA wouldn't intrigue him. He coached there before this and was on Eric Spoelstra's staff, so I could see where it would be appealing. But I don't think he's just there because his kids are there. I think he wants to be at Michigan.
Yeah. Well, again, it's your alma mater. Yeah,
right. He feels it's a special place for him.
He's done a good job. Juwan's done better than most for former NBA players with $100 million in their bank account. Way better than most. So I want to see where it goes in the next couple of years, and if Michigan can kind of, because for the last 2 years they've been mediocre in the regular season now, completely mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, last year's season was saved by the fact that you make that run, you beat Tennessee, you go to the Sweet 16.
Yes,
that really did kind of save that year.
All right, let's finish with Nick Smith.
Hold on, we have one more thing. You said you wanted to talk about can Trayce Jackson-Davis make a run at Big Ten Player of the Year?
Yeah, Big Ten Player of the Year. I think I did a poll, Rob. You were included in it, believe it or not. I actually included you in the poll of top 10 players. And
I'm media, so I should be included.
I know. I didn't want to offend you. I figured then you get pissed and wouldn't give me any Twizzlers. But so it was basically 6 guys for 5 spots. Zach Edey is the clear cut. He was the unanimous among 30 people I polled for National Player of the Year. After that, it was pretty bottled up. Jalen Wilson, Trayce, Tubelis.
Pickett.
No, Pickett was not in the top 6.
He was not in there? No.
No. Timmy was 6. Who am I forgetting?
Oh, Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller was like 4.
Yeah.
So can anybody and how do you go about looking at Big Ten Player of the Year? Because right now you could make a case that Trayce has been as good as Edey since league play started.
Yeah, but one team is ranked number 1 in the country, and one team is ranked 19th or 18th.
That's right.
I wrote this down. Trayce Jackson-Davis, last 10 games, he's been balling.
Yeah.
23 points a game, 13.8 rebounds a game, so almost 14, over 3.5 blocks, almost 4 assists a game, 54% from the field. Zach Edey, last 10 games, 23 points a game, 12.9 rebounds a game, 2.2 blocks, so less or almost a block and a half less, 73% from the field, so 19% more than Trayce.
Yep. And
you look at their head-to-head matchups, Trayce played a great game against Purdue, 25-7, 5 blocks, 9-19. Edey, 33-18, 10 offensive rebounds. He had a double-double with offensive rebounds, Jeff.
Yeah.
3 blocks, did have 5 turnovers, 15 of 19 from the field. So I agree that Trayce Jackson-Davis has been incredible, but Zach Edey's right there with him, and when they went head-to-head, Zach's numbers are better. So I don't see any way, barring Purdue tanks and Zach doesn't play well or injury, and even at this point, injury probably would be he would just have it. I just don't see any way around it. That doesn't mean that Trayce Jackson-Davis has not played like a first-team All-American, because he has. But this dude has played at the highest level in all of college basketball.
He's the national player of the year front runner, Rob, and he can't get size 20 sneakers from Nike.
That's pathetic, and shame on Nike for that.
Right?
You know, I love Nike because it's what I've been forever. You know, my high school team was Nike, my college team in the NBA I was with Nike. He's the best player in the country, and we can't get him some new shoes.
Stupid.
I mean, I know they've got 20s laying around. I've seen them at the outlet malls when you stop on the highway. They got those random 18, 19, 20s that are just hanging around there.
Hey, they make it for all the Oregon players.
Get him some basketball shoes. My goodness.
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. All right. Let's finish up with Nick Smith and I don't know if dilemma, but somewhat of a dilemma. I mean, this is a kid who's been hurt all year. He's played basically 4 games for Arkansas, considered a top 5 pick coming into the season, electric 3-level scorer, the guy that honestly could put Arkansas back in the Elite 8 or even the Final 4 if they were completely healthy. They haven't been. Again, I think Musselman's done an incredible job getting them where they are right now. But now Nick Smith, he's been in LA for the last month training, rehabbing. Okay?
That's so NBA, but
he's taking classes.
I respect it.
He's been taking some online classes. Rob.
I know.
I know.
I'm not saying it's bad. That's what you do in the NBA. If some of these guys get injured, they go to these rehab places.
Well, they got agents now. That's the difference. They got agents where they didn't have them 5 years ago, telling them, hey, come on out and rehab here. Make sure you're 100%. And I said this probably 3 weeks ago. I think I tweeted out, if he's 100%, he's going to come back. Well, sure enough, he's back with the team. He's practicing. And the plan is for Nick Smith to come back at some point.
What is his injury, Jeff? Is it tendonitis? Like,
I don't know exactly what
soreness?
It is. Yeah, right knee soreness.
I mean, as long as it's not ligament related, if you feel good, play. You know, I respect him for playing and
I
wanting
do too.
to play.
I do too. Is it the smartest business decision, though, Rob?
Probably not, but I think everybody understands too that he's been injured. And I mean, I guess if you're looking at it from a pure business decision, probably not. I think it's probably fair to say no. But I respect a kid who wants to play with his teammates and wants to be there for them. And I think NBA people do too. You know, I think that has to speak for something, and I think it does. You know, and this right now, if this was March 1st, you might be like, dude, you're not gonna be able to get in a rhythm. But we are at the middle, at the start of February still. What is it, February 9th? So we're getting late in the year, but at least he has how many more SEC games to go? You've got 7 games in SEC play. You've got the conference tournament. You've got the NCAA tournament. If he wants to play, I'm cool with it. But is it the best business decision? If you're looking at it purely from business, probably not. But I respect that.
I bet he comes back in a week or so and plays like 4 or 5 regulars.
He said he's playing on Saturday.
Oh, did he?
He was on one of his teammates' Instagram stories, and he said he's playing against Mississippi State.
That's great. That's great. I mean, listen, I'm with you. I love this. I love it for the kid, and I've been told all along the kid wants to play. I think, unfortunately, in this day and age, there's too many people around these kids trying to tell them, again, protect your draft stock. Well, listen, yeah, maybe he won't go top 5 at the end of the day, right?
I mean, he's not going to fall out of the top 15.
No
he's
chance.
Too talented. People understand he's been injured. And
it's all about the second contract anyway, and it's all about the fit of where you get drafted.
No, that's true. But would you rather make $5 million your first year or 2.5?
I get it. I'm
just saying. And in the grand scheme of things, Nick Smith has earning potential of like $500 million probably.
Right.
So you're right. The next contracts are what matter. But I respect him, and as long as he is not at risk to injure himself further, then I'm cool with him playing, because I think it's pretty rare
awesome
to see a kid do that.
It goes against
that
everything that, like, you're watching these football dudes, right, bail out of the bowl games
that are 4th round picks.
Yes, we got a kid that could easily bail right now and say, you know what, I'm hurt. I know I'm going to be a top 5, 10 pick at worst. I'm done. I'm out. I'm tapping out. And instead, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna come back. And the other part to this that we haven't talked about is, okay, let's say he gets these 7 games. He's still a freshman. There's still a learning curve here with him. He's played 4 games as a freshman, and his team is playing well lately. So their upside is obviously so much higher that if you're Musselman, hey, come on back, man. We need you, because we could maybe win a game or 2 in the NCAA tournament without you. But with you, who knows? Maybe we can catch fire here. And now we got a shooter score that we're desperate.
Well, and their offense, what does it need? Somebody that can make jump shots from the perimeter and score, for sure.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, listen, appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, Goodman and Hummel Pod. We're still going to try to convince Rob next week to go out down in Bloomington.
Some of us have to work, dude. Some of us have to work. You're just going to be hung over in the stands.
If I buy you the candy stripe pants, will you put them on?
No.
You will not put the candy stripe pants on?
No.
No chance.
0 chance.
What about going in the Indiana student section with me before the game?
No chance.
No chance. What will you do?
Nothing. I will do my job. I'll go there and work. No chance. Why would I go in the student section? Why would I want to do that? All it takes is one dude to be like, to say whatever. You realize how much Indiana and Purdue hate each other, right? Like, you get.
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out when we're inviting a bunch of Indiana fans to dinner with us.
I will, believe me, there will be an open seat if that happens. Someone will not be showing up, which will be me.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Goodman and Hummel Pod. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check it out every week.